Fueled by Deathcast.
That's the thing about Asking is we don't go into the studio with a plan. We go into the studio and whatever we're feeling, whatever's, influenced us over the years is kind of what comes out. We never go in there and go, okay, we want to make a rock record or we want to make a metal record. It just happens, and it's so organic. That's why the records change so much over the years, because you don't feel the same. I'm sure you don't feel the same as you did 5 years ago. You're in a very different headspace, and some years are great and you're happy, and that will show in a lot of music. And some years are really tough and really difficult. And when Danny left, for me, it was a very, very difficult time. And back then too, I was still on a lot of drugs and I was drinking a lot of alcohol. And it was just a dark time. So the record came out really dark. And I think a lot of our older fans understand and appreciate that. But we also still have a lot of younger fans that don't get it. They're like, well, why can't you just keep writing music like that? I'm like, because I'm telling real life stories, and I think we're a very honest band, and it would be so disingenuous to go in and just write the same album over and over again, because I know for a fact there's an audience for it. That's just not the way we write music. So that was a tough album to write for sure.
Yeah.
Very different dynamic.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. You guys are an honest band throughout your entire career. You're hard on your sleeve, you're hard on your guitar strings, kind of. Like you really you lay it all out there, and it's evident. I wanted to ask too, kind of on the lyric side, coming up with lyrics organically in the room like that, especially after you've got like a skeleton of a song, like really kind of working. Does the lyric content ever, like, I don't know, steer the song in a different direction than you expected? My only reason of asking that is some of your songs, the way the lyrics hit with the music, it's just like magic, and it's awesome. And to have that kind of be the last piece, it seems almost like magic.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. And, I think Danny does a really cool job of that, especially in a lot of newer songs like Anti-Socialist. It's such an upbeat sounding song, but then it's sprinkled with minor notes that hit every now and again. And the cool thing about that song is Danny's taken those minor notes that are sprinkled throughout the song and that dark undertone, and he's elevated it with the lyrics. Like the lyrics still sound like he's like, oh, shit's great, but really the song's quite an angry song, and I think it is magic. I don't think. Again, I think that's one of the great things about not writing before you go in. It happens, and whatever happens, it's like, wow, well, we wouldn't have thought of that. It was just organically like, bleh. It came out of his mouth, out of his head, onto the page, and it's like, there it is. That's awesome. And so we don't really do rewrites, which really stresses our record label out, like to no end. They're like, but I don't get it. Like Danny's got a really cool lyric in that song. It goes, "It's on my forehead, 4 letters off." So it's like the fuck off across his forehead. And no one at the label got it. It's like, what the hell is he saying? We need this to be more palatable. And we were like, no, like, I think that lyric is awesome. And it just kind of fell out of his mouth. And so it's quite tough when you have a record label. It's like, oh, we need to make things sound a certain way and we don't like rewrites. We're like, no, it happened this way for a reason. Again, it comes back to being organic, being truthful with ourselves. It's like, this is the song, and if you don't like it, that sucks. And but it's not your song, it's our song. So, it's definitely a bit of a battle. And I think over the years, we've made such good friends with our record label that at this point they're like, oh, okay, whatever, do what you want to do. And it tends to work out for us because I think people can hear the honesty. They're like, okay. And I think that people have come to expect that from us. And every time we release a song, without fucking fail, initially, the record label gets to go, see, I told you, because people are like, what the fuck is this? You guys have changed, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you say this every goddamn time. And it's so funny because we released another new song called They Don't Want What We Want. And some kid was like blasting me online going, you fucking changed, blah, 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 blah. And I just responded to him. I was like, look, man, the song's been out for an hour. I promise you in 2 weeks' time, you're going to love this fucking song. Jesus Christ, like, calm down. Give it a second to sink in. And lo and behold, the kid comes back to my page in 2 weeks' time. He's like, hey, it's been 2 weeks. I'm sure you don't remember me, but you very calmly responded to my shit talking. And I just wanted to come back here and say you were absolutely right. I've listened to that song at least 100 times today. The song fucking rules. Thank you. And I'm just like, And it's so hard when people just out the gates like, what the fuck are you doing? Because it's, like I said, it's every release. And it's like, man, when are you going to get it? Like, we change every record for all the points I've already mentioned. And it's just so funny. We'll release something like From Death to Destiny came out 2013. And everyone was like, oh, what is this country butt rock crap? And now we release music and they're like, you should go back to your metalcore roots, like From Death to Destiny. I'm like, hey, asshole, you called it country butt rock 7 years ago. You know, it's people are very quick to judge, and people want things now, and that includes instant gratification. They want to get it right now. It's like, okay, you know, you open a can of Coke and you want it to taste like Coke. Fair enough, but if you open a can of Pepsi, you can't get pissed off that it doesn't taste like Coke. You know, it's like it's a different thing. People just need to give things time. I think there's no need for everything to be so instantaneous. You don't instantly need to be blown away by everything, and it doesn't instantly need to talk to you. Sometimes it's good to sit down and ponder and reflect and go, what is that saying to me? You know, what doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a movie or a book or a music or a meal you're enjoying. Like, don't scarf it down and just enjoy it. Let it sit, live with it. And more often than not, you're going to end up enjoying whatever it is that you're doing. But I think so many people right now, they just want instant, just like, oh yeah, now gimme. And it's like, whoa, you just need to all slow down.
It's the truth. You know, one of the greatest things about music is it's everlasting and it needs to be digested, like you said. So many people, what's lost on it is from the musician, the songwriter. You've been living, like, let's take Antisocialist. You've been living with that song for, you know, a while now. You've probably heard it.
Probably close to 2 years.
You've probably heard it upwards of 1 million times, you know, and it has went through minor changes in your head from the very first notes that you played to what we got on the record, you know? So, I mean, like, you've digested it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Others should take a little bit of time and also digest that piece of music.
And it's so funny too, because you just said it, music lives forever. And that's why it's so important to let it live and breathe and become its own thing. You know, you don't, I'll tell you what, when my daughter was born, the doctor was like, get in here. And she called all the nurses and like, look how beautiful this baby is. And she was a beautiful baby, which is weird because a lot of babies, especially white babies, look weird when they come out. You know what I mean? And it's like, man, she was beautiful. My son came out. And my initial reaction wanted to be, put that back. This kid looks weird. But my God, he had just been born, you know, and I loved him obviously more than anything. But initially I was like, oh my God, is his head going to stay that long? Like, what is, like, this kid's weird. What's going on here? But now he's 2 years old and he's probably the most beautiful boy. Obviously I'm biased, that I've ever seen in my life. You know, he's a really good looking boy. He's stunning. And it's like, he's grown into his own skin and himself, and he will continue to, as will both of our kids, you know, continue to grow and flourish and change over the years. And it's like, that's the thing with music. You cannot judge it the second it's popped out into the world. You have to give it time to tell its story and to resonate and to tell you what it needs to tell you. And you know what? Maybe when you hear it, it doesn't speak to you, but I promise you there'll be a time in your life, whether it's a week or 2 years or 3 years down the line, where that song will speak to you and you'll need that song and you'll be like, oh, I get it. So it's always so weird to me when people just right out the gates are like, this sucks. Well, why? Because there's no breakdowns in it. Okay. Well, if you feel the need to listen to a breakdown right now because you're clearly pissed off, we have loads in our back catalog. Go crazy, man. You know, go let out some anger, let off some steam. But when you feel this way, revisit this song and then come back and tell me how shit I am.